Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon.
What's going on? It's your boy Sam.
Yo, man, and this is the Listen Up podcast. Listen, if you have not, this is your first time, checking us out. You're on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, rate, enable your notifications so you see that every time, we doing an episode, you ready? But hit that button now, man. I'm gonna give y'all a couple seconds.
Yeah, man. What's going on, man? How was the weekend?
Man, this weekend was fun, man. This weekend was an all around good weekend, man. I actually really I think I expected to have the baby here by now, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not really how it all works. So it ain't taking place yet. Don't matter. Looks like it's pushed back a week. I guess basically until the baby decides he's ready to come out. But I mean, Thanksgiving was wonderful, man. All my family came in town. They really were all anticipating the baby, but all my family came in town, ate good
Yeah.
food. Had seafood on Friday, barbecue yesterday, of course, Thanksgiving on Thursday. So we've been back to back to back in it. I'm a little tired. I lost my voice. Florida State gets a win. Clemson loses. Miami is out here looking like garbage
Dude,
juice. Man,
college
it's been a
football,
wonderful weekend, man.
college football is completely crazy right now, and I don't think it's overdue. I think we finna see some upsets on championship weekend too.
I mean, why not, man? At this
Yeah,
point, enough
I think
teams
we're gonna see
lose,
some
we'll
upsets.
end up in the four with our three losses. Nah, but I guess my question is before we even get started is how does one when does one decide that he's gonna rail against storming the field while on the field? I guess is really my first question. Like, when does one make that decision?
Well, this is some funny shit, right? Um, every day I'm completely I'm completely surprised by how much people care about my Twitter account every day. It never ceases. It never ceases to amaze me. It really does. It never ceases to amaze me how much people care about my Twitter account. But I was at the game actually, which I wasn't actually supposed to go to the game, but at the last second, my girl was like, I want you to go. So we took her and her son to the game for his birthday. So we was at the game, and it was a lot closer than what I initially expected it to be, um,
hmm
which we'll get into that a little later. And
Right.
as the game was ending, you could see people pushing down towards the bottom. Everybody was coming down towards the bottom. So I was like,
So it was
whoa.
clear we was gonna storm the field if we
Yeah,
won
yeah.
that.
So it was very
Okay.
clear to me at like the 1 minute mark. Once Jordan came to come kneel, you could see people was kind of coming down. So I'm like, damn. I like, damn. So her son was like, I think they're going. I said, I think we finna storm the field. And her son was like, oh, really? So I was like, yeah, that's what it looked like to me. I'm in the Champions Club, so that's a good little ways. It's a good little ways down.
We were gonna get there. We was gonna break this. We was gonna break this
Yeah,
down. But go
yeah.
ahead.
It
Yeah.
was a good little ways down. So he was like, well, I want to go. And then she was like, well, okay. I was like, well, damn, well, we can't let him go by itself. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I put out a
Yeah.
tweet. Why are we storming the field?
hmm
Why are we
As you
rushing the
as you
field?
was so as you were jumping over as you would come all the
No,
way
I
down
wasn't.
from the
I wasn't.
Champions
I
Club,
hadn't jumped
and as
down
you had
yet.
jumped over the
I,
rail,
I haven't jumped down yet. At that point, I'm
but you
still
were in the
looking.
process of still walking
At
down the
them, at that
stairs.
point, I'm looking at both of them like, why are we rushing the field? They like,
hmm
we gotta go. I'm like, well, okay. If y'all want to go,
All
I ain't
right,
gonna let y'all go by yourself. Somebody gotta grab y'all off the rails. You know what I'm saying?
right. All right.
It-
So let's all keep it clear. Sam was there to keep order. He wasn't there to storm the field with y'all, you lunatics. He was just there to keep order, and that's the bottom line.
well, and then what happened was once I sent the tweet out, why are we rushing the field? As in we, as in the two other people that I'm with,
hmm
me
hmm
included. That's three people. That
hmm
that to me makes a we.
It does. That does make we.
So
Yeah.
I was like, why are we storming the field and
Mm.
rushing the field? Why we rushing the field? So I'm like, okay, let's go down. I got you. So I get down there, jump off the thing, grab the kid, grab my girl. We on the field. At this point, I have no more Wi-Fi. You know what I'm saying? Because the stadium is like trash with Wi-Fi once you get down to the bottom. So we down there, great moment, got in the end zone. I took a picture with some cops. Thought that was amazing. I'll post those some other time. But We get
Great
out. Now
move of his
I get to the truck. A lot of people saying go nose. If you say go nose, people just scream at you, throw you a beer. It's great. And get to the truck, and I get back in the truck, and as we get close to the hotel or whatever, I'm like noticing my notification like going off. What is going on?
Yeah.
so, so that's when you proceeded. You and Brian
I added
proceeded
to
to
that. Yeah,
antagonize the situation.
yeah, we did that.
And I was like, so I thought everybody was joking. Then I realized people really was actually upset that I put
That
out
was where it turned. Yeah.
while
That
we
was what that
rushing
was
the
where the joke
field.
turned. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the joke turned. And I was like, I was actually on the field. What are y'all talking about? So that's
No,
when
like
I
I was a
was.
part of this. I was just
I
nah.
said we. I said why
Like I was
we.
included in that we. Yeah. I'm included when I say we. Yeah. Hmm.
I'm just as ashamed of rushing the field as as everybody else should be. But it was funny, man. It was just funny. It was like a funny night, bro. Some people were so upset about that tweet. It was hilarious, man. Like we're gonna have a segment on this show. Sam, explain your tweet.
Yeah. I think we should every episode we should start with a tweet that was somehow misinterpreted, and then we're gonna take out through the backstory of what Sam was thinking, and the absolute overreaction of what Sam has said that
Yeah,
has caused everything.
yeah. It
No,
was
you can't have the true part is right. You know what I mean? That's really what it boiled down to
what that?
was 5 years of frustration. It
Yeah.
was like, yo, I don't know if we're gonna have many moments like this in the future, but this moment right here,
Well, so apparently I talked to James Coleman after the game. We was talking about it. He said apparently the last game of the season they doing this thing now where the last game of the season the fans can come onto the field. The last game of every home season now. I don't know if that just started or that's like a new thing, but he's saying at the end of every season, the last home game, FSU Athletics going to allow the fans to come onto the field.
I actually don't think that's a very bad idea at all. You
I
know
know.
what I mean?
I actually like that idea.
Yeah,
So
I think it'll
it
get
wasn't
all
it
of
wasn't
the
a we stormed the
people
field.
to
It was
be.
already kind of put out to the student section to come onto the
Yeah,
field
because
for
I
the
was gonna
game.
say it seemed like what I mean. If we had won, they were coming on the field regardless if it had been by 45 or the way it
Hmm.
happened. I think we was coming out on the field regardless.
Right.
Um, Listen, man, I don't. I guess, and we can transition to the game, man. But I don't think either one of us expected the game to go I guess in the way it did.
So you want to start with your good? Or you want to start with your bad?
I'm gonna start with the good because again, I want to focus very little on the bad because
Right.
I think for me personally, beating the Gators is probably the best win.
Mm.
I know a lot of people. It was a debate on the timeline whether Miami or Florida as the biggest rival. Me living in Jacksonville, Sam living in Jacksonville, these Gator fans are
It's
they hell,
sufferable.
man.
Yeah.
They outnumber us. You know what I mean? So it's anytime we get the opportunity to beat the Gators,
Hmm.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna wear all the Florida State stuff. I've been wearing it the last 3 days. I, you know what I mean? It's just go nose every time you out in public. You know what I mean? It's just everybody. So to have that opportunity, I always want to beat the Gators. But my
Yeah.
good, Jordan Travis, man.
Dude, he was
Um,
exceptional. He was
eh,
exceptional. He was so
we've
good.
asked we've asked Jordan time and time again, Jordan, win us a game. We've seen the greats. We've seen the people who have made their name here at Florida State have a game where the quarterback put it on his back and said, "I'm gonna get this done. Don't worry, fellas. I got y'all. If we gotta score 50, I'll get us for 50. If we gotta score 45, I'm gonna get us for 45. It don't matter what the score was. If we need, I'll get us a touchdown better." And it looked like that from the very beginning. Like the receivers were dropping passes, but it wasn't on Jordan.
Right.
And Jordan just kept going, all right, fine, y'all won't catch it. I'll get the running. Like
Hmm.
it was Jordan was willing to do any and everything it took in order for Florida State to win that game. He did it in the most crucial situations. He had Heisman moments. My good is Jordan Travis, man. Like he was absolutely exceptional. And we've asked this of Jordan a couple times this season.
Right.
And he hadn't really done it. He may not have been the reason why we lost, but he didn't elevate his game to the place where he was the reason why we won it. And you can't say that about Friday. Friday, Jordan Travis was absolutely the reason why we won that game.
He was his he made so many timely runs and timely plays, man. I got to be honest with you, like watching the game, and I think I tweeted it out. I was like, dude, we getting destroyed at the line of scrimmage. Like I didn't feel good about the line of scrimmage as the game was playing out, man. But
Mm-hmm.
every time it was a couple times where I felt like had he took that 20-yard, 15-yard sack, I think that it would have basically ended the game because we wasn't stopping them on defense, man. You know what I'm saying? Like
No, first
far as
half was bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Jordan just kind of like, dude, he did a couple plays where it's like it could have been a 15-yard sack, it's a 20-yard touchdown run. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and he did that twice. You know what I'm saying? So um he was exceptional, man. That was probably I don't want to say it's close to being his best game. Probably was his best game,
It
man.
was his best game. I think if you
Well,
adjust for opponent,
yeah.
the moment and everything, it was his best game.
Well, I
You know what I
still
mean?
kind of count LSU really high for me, but because he was so good against LSU.
He
But
was great against LSU as well. Yeah.
yeah, but I thought that was probably that's up there top two, top three game he's played at Florida State, and man, and what a way to reward Mike Norvell for sticking with Jordan Travis. We said, hey man, you should bring another quarterback in here to compete.
Mm-hmm.
Worst case scenario, but Mike had a lot of belief in Jordan Travis in that quarterback room, and man, Saturday night, man, Jordan rewarded him in a big way, man, because that was a huge win. Because I really felt like that game was going a different kind of way. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you take some of those sacks and you're down 21-7, game probably over. You know what I'm saying? With the way they was running the football, game's probably
Yep.
over. But Jordan just kept pounding, dude. He just kept pounding. He kept making plays. Man, he was exceptional, man. And those, and I mean, what more can you ask for? Your leader, a guy that came in here was banged up, beat up from Louisville, got here, got healthy, struggling throwing the football. He was playing every quarterback on the roster in front of him, and for him to fight his way back, man, and I mean, he goes out as an FSU legend if he never plays another down here.
Right. It's funny because Mike basically went all in on Jordan Travis, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about it on early. Like, is that a good decision? Jordan Travis has never been healthy. He's never finished the season, and outside of a half, at this point, he finished the season healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out to Mike. Shout out to Jordan Travis for understanding his body, of getting a little bit bigger. You know what I mean? Getting a little bit stronger. Understanding when to slide. He never did that last year. Understanding when he needs to, make plays. Hey, I got to make this throw.
Yeah.
It was so much good, I think, that happened between just Jordan Travis and his coaching staff, that they continue to essentially put their trust in Jordan. And Jordan basically said, I got y'all. I'll show you what I can do in the
You know
biggest
what?
moment against our
Let's
biggest rival.
let's give another shot to a guy on the football team that I thought played probably his best game at Florida State. Jerry Jones.
100%.
Bro, we've all hated on Jerry Jones, and with reason. We've had several reasons to not like Jerry Jones on the field. But Jerry Jones he really played good the back half of the season. I mean, he's been playing a lot, and he was really good. He was really good Saturday. I'm sorry,
Listen,
Friday. He was really good
yeah,
Friday night.
let me tell you, Jerry Jones, there was a Thanksgiving video that came out.
Mm-hmm.
And Jerry Jones said, he not even coming to your Thanksgiving if you don't have chitlins.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe I responded with, well, at this point, I'll never say anything bad about that brother,
Right.
because I'm one of them people as well. I don't show up. You know what I mean? I don't know what's gonna happen when my aunt Naomi passes, because she's the only person's chitlins I eat. And if she feel herself going, I may have to just tell her to cook a bunch before she go, and I'm just store them up for as long as possible. But Jerry and Jones, man, like in all seriousness, when you talk about back half of the season, you're right. We haven't called his name negatively since
It's been a minute.
like NC State. You know what I mean? Like, it's been a good little minute where every time he's been on the field, I'm like, all right, he making plays. He
Yeah.
wasn't the reason why we gave up touchdowns. He wasn't getting dumb penalties. It was almost as if like he matured up, and or he grew up a little bit and said, all right, I'm doing a lot of bonehead stuff. The fans is killing me. And he clearly read it because he keep commenting on it. You know what I mean? The fans are killing me. I got to play better. And instead of kind of, I guess, taking the approach of,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really, I don't care, whatever. I'm a transfer. They don't need me. Blah blah blah. Like some other players did. I think Jerry said, "All right, let me get back to the basics. Let me figure out what I can do to help this team
Right.
buckle down." And I got to give him a lot of credit, man. I don't know. I don't know what to say, man, because it's not just Jerry Jones, right? Everybody had a great back half. Everybody elevated their level of play in this back half of
Well,
the season,
let's
man.
relax on everybody because
Well, I'm gonna say
that
everybody when I'm
Pearsall
talking
went to
really.
work on Greedy.
See, here, well, all right. Here's what I, this is where I'm gonna give all the defensive backs a pass,
uh,
and the reason why is because I could not figure out that. That was the moment where I looked at Adam Fuller and I kept trying to figure out what what what's the plan here.
I'll say so. You into the bad?
All right, do we want to get to the bad? Because if
Well,
we did, I mean, we can talk about more good, but I'm
well,
gonna get to.
well, you know what's fascinating about it, and I'm not saying this to be like negative or anything. Um, we talked about we thought the game would be a little closer than people would expect for it to be, and
Mm-hmm.
I also think that I mean you said this. We talked off the air about this. What was that? Friday? I think it was Saturday. Saturday we talked about it. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, so after watching us play Florida, how you feel about those 3 games we lost? You like, yeah, we probably would have lost those 3 games because just the matchups
Mm-hmm.
and everything. I just
Mm-hmm.
think Florida State was kind of fortunate to play some banged up teams down the stretch, and they beat up on some bad football teams. And I think that you count those wins, but I also think that Florida presented a different problem for your
Mm-hmm.
defense, right? Like
Right.
it's not lost on me that the LSU game, LSU was able to run up the middle, and I kept saying, we got a problem in the A gap against LSU, um,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't lost on me that Florida came in and pretty much did somewhat of the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's just a problem with the defense. They're not but they didn't play a lot of teams that could do that.
That can
Then
expose them.
that could
Yeah.
expose that. And then when you come back and look at the wide receiver units we played towards the back end of the team, back in the season, they wasn't very good. When they finally played a good wide receiver with Pearsall, who I don't think is great at all. I think he's a decent
Not even
wide
a little
receiver.
bit.
Yeah, but you saw what that looked like. And they didn't have a lot of good wide receivers because a lot of the guys was hurt and injured. So we were very fortunate to catch them without all those receivers. So, but at the end of the day, I do think I, that defensive line got dominated in that game. To be quite honest with you,
Every last one I need to come back. That includes Jerry Hurts.
I mean, yeah, they got dominated. They got exposed a little bit in that game. But like I said, it wasn't a lot of team on the ACC schedule. I mean, after we played Wake Forest and Clemson and NC State, I said, dude, yeah, FSU got some problems, personnel and probably some scheme problems, but down the stretch, ain't a lot of teams that can do anything about it. You know?
Hey, listen, so the problem I had wasn't necessarily with the individual defensive players.
Mm-hmm.
I kept trying to figure out, like, again, I'm looking at this and I'm saying they have one receiver who could possibly beat you and one tight end.
Yeah.
I'm going to blanket the wide receiver. Like, there's no reason I'm gonna let Pearsall one on one with anybody when he's the only wide receiver they got who could catch a pass. I
Mm-hmm.
think he's the only wide receiver who did catch a pass.
Right.
So there was not a single other receiver that they thought that they could throw the ball, and they still let that one receiver go off.
Right.
I'm not blaming that on DB is gonna get beat. I'm
Right.
blaming that on we had opportunity to double a receiver.
Mm.
Pearsall was the receiver that needed to be doubled. And for
Mm.
some reason, we just kind of let him run through the zone and catch passes. We let
Yeah.
him one on one with no safety help.
Yeah.
It was clear that AR couldn't run no more. After he hurt his hip, AR
Yeah.
wasn't running no more.
Yeah.
So at
Yeah.
this point, the defense had to change. Now, where I will give them credit for, second half, they made an adjustment.
They did.
Pearsall
They
didn't
did.
do shit. You know what I mean? And that's where I say this staff has improved a lot because last year, even early in this season, they did not make good second half adjustments.
Yeah, that's true.
But now you're starting to see, okay, Pearsall won't be the second half. We're not letting these guys run the ball all over us. Y'all may make some plays because y'all will, but it's not going to be the same. And refs helped a whole lot. The refs helped a whole lot. That was one of the poorest officiating games I had seen in my life. Like, I hate talking refs, but from the TV perspective, I mean, there was holes every play, if not every other play,
Yeah,
and
but
they just didn't get called.
watching the game though, to be honest with you, bro, them referees wasn't calling nothing. Like they was like I think they threw a flag like 2 1/4. Like they was barely throwing flags out there because it was a lot of plays I watched. You know, I think Florida State got away with a couple pass interferences. I think Florida got away with a couple pass interferences. If
But
you
then you
wasn't,
call the crazy pass interference at the end after you've been letting it play all game.
yeah, it's
That's why
just
I'm talking about.
yeah, they was just them referees was trying to get out of that, man. Because there was a couple times they picked up. One guy had his hand in his pocket for a flag, which I thought he finna call holding, and he just literally put it back in his pocket, dude. They was just like play on. They was in play on mode, man. So that's just what that was, man. I mean, I know people complain about the referee and the Gators complain about it, and Nose was complaining about it, but to me, them referees just they was just
They were
play on,
bad.
bro. They was
Yeah,
play
yeah.
on. They was
No, they wasn't calling face mask. Like
yeah
at some
no
point,
they
it's basically like, man, we just trying to get out of here.
yeah, bro. They was not trying to be there, bro. I mean, them quarters was going by to me. Them
The
quarters was
game
going
ended
by so
quick.
fast. Yeah.
I noticed that too. I looked around like, hey man, like I might have a whole lot of night left. You know what I mean? Like this game was over with. Yeah, for a 7:30 kick, but at 10:30, game was over. The rest was like, I got something to do today.
Bro, them refs was on play on mode. So I really wasn't too mad at the referees. I was just like, hey, that's just what it is today. That's what it is. Like they ain't calling that, man. Because I thought it
Yeah,
was a couple times, Florida gonna get flags on them, and I thought a couple times Florida State get some flags on them, and them referees just all right, spot the ball.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they weren't even talking to the coaches. Like the coach was,
No,
like the coaches, like at one point, I know Billy down there had to down there cross the 50 to be like, yo man, what the hell? Then I saw Mike do down there the same thing. And those SEC refs, so yeah, I don't know. It was just weird. They were just them referees didn't want to be there, man. They was done.
it
They
was
were done
Friday
for.
night. They just ate. They had Thanksgiving yesterday. They had
Yeah,
zero desire to be there,
yeah,
man.
they
It
was
was
out. They was
crazy.
out. So man, let's go to the end of the season. Um, what do you think?
Wait. Uh,
Uh,
Tilly says we got verse fucked up.
What you mean as far as what?
I think what he's saying is when we said all the D line need to come back, and I think Tildahl say verse ain't ready for Sundays yet.
Well,
I'm gonna say this. I'm not gonna say he's not ready for Sundays. I'm gonna say he still got some areas in his game he should improve on.
well,
And coming
okay,
back another year, I think he would
but
he would improve on
my
those
point is
things.
my
But I
point.
also understand him being the top 10 pick. He ain't going to.
But my point is this though with Verse. Verse is a good football player. It's very possible that he played against another good football player.
He did,
You
but
see,
that's what
you
I'm
see what I'm
saying, right?
saying? So I
The
think people.
one game though that he played against another NFL or other NFL tackles, he was really non-existent. You know what I mean? He
Right, but I
was
mean, are you
for the
gonna
most
get
part.
better? Are you gonna get better if you come back and play against Chop Meat in the ACC again? Beat up on them
No,
again?
no,
Probably not.
no. I
So
agree
you
with
probably
that.
go to the NFL.
Yeah, I
And
100% agree with that. I think, listen, I think he played
but I
against NFL tackles and he got a chance to see, all right, I might
and
have some things I can
and I
improve on.
also think
Will he come back? Ain't no way. I wouldn't even let him come back if he's still projected to be a
and
top 10 pick.
I also think people we kind of see him in the same thing that we look at Jermaine Johnson. But and I said this, Jermaine Johnson was very special because he could turn speed into power and power into speed. Not a lot of
Mhm.
defensive ends that can do that, man. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? That's a very rare skill to have. Verse don't have that skill. He is speed or he's power. He can't do both, and it's not a lot of players that can do what Jermaine Johnson could do. That's it's a unique talent. You know what I'm saying? So for
100%.
Jermaine, he could play against a offensive tackle that's quick and turn him into power and bull rush him, or he
Hmm.
could run by the offensive tackle that's not as quick. So Jermaine had a different bag, man. You know what I'm saying? That don't mean Verse ain't ready. He could go to the NFL and be a third down specialist for his first year until he developed that skill. So everybody
100%.
is I think sometimes you just have to look at it and say, hey, you know what? They got a guy over there too. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they got a guy too. You know what I'm saying? And I just think Florida offensive line I think that was a good offensive line. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I
It's
think it was
just
a
a good
very
off.
good test for him.
Yeah,
He also got double teamed all night. You know what I
yeah,
mean? They made a point to not, you know what I mean? They made it a point to not let Jerry Verse get off. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, and
I
so I
mean,
think that was
dude,
again, it was a great
look at
strategy. He was going against very double team
we
against two good line.
Love it is a good player. They block Love it. I mean, they blocked
They
Love it all
blocked yeah,
night.
like, hey,
I mean, they
now
were pushing them guys 2, 3
now
yards off the line of scrimmage. I mean, they
I won't
just
say
it's
the
a good
same thing
offensive
about
line.
Fable. Yeah, I won't say the same thing about Fable.
Mm-hmm.
Fable probably I don't know if Fable can come back, but Fable need to come back if he can.
Well, I mean, how much better can he get? He's been in college for 4 years. Sometimes you just
Like,
play against a good. Sometimes you just, if you watch the Michigan Ohio State game yesterday, Ohio State had a dominant defense line the whole season. Play
and
against Michigan,
then
guess what? That don't
gone
mean those guys still ain't good. They just played against. When you play
better.
against when NFL talent play against NFL talent, you ain't gonna win on third down every time you want to win on third down. Some people gonna have a little something to say about that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Very true. Very true.
you know,
Yeah.
sometimes
I
it ain't
agree.
always your guys ain't good enough. It's sometimes they guys a little better. You know what I'm saying? Like they got you got to get them their credit and you got to move away from it. Like, okay,
Here's what I would, but the difference between Verse and Lovett, in my opinion, is I thought Lovett got manhandled. And that's why I say he might be able to get a little stronger. You know what I mean? He might be coming back. And then I just think him coming back for another season
yeah,
allows him the ability to get strong, play a full healthy season,
yeah,
and really be an absolute monster in the middle, right?
right.
If he ends up as, you know what I mean? Because a monster in the middle changes him from being what? Day three?
I
A
just
day
don't
three
think
draft to
I
possibly
don't think
day two.
once you get past your third year, your fourth year in college, I just don't
You think
think
they don't
that
see enough?
that upside window ain't as high as everybody think. I think sometimes you form as a player you are. And if you're gonna be a
Yeah,
pro, you gotta go to the pros to learn how to be a
to learn
pro
it.
and get in a scheme and get in a system because
Can't argue.
you know what I'm saying? I think
Yeah, yeah.
and also I want to say this too, and this is why I give Mike Norvell a very high remarks and high regard. You know, I think this team maximized its potential this season. I think they played to their potential this season. I think this was a 8-win team to a 9-win team. I know we said after what I think it was like the third week of the season that um, the ACC is not very good this year. You know, you could
Mm-hmm.
probably be a top 2, top 1, top 3 team in this conference, and he got them to play up to their potential. I think the teams that beat them was better than them, right? Especially on those
At the time.
days,
Yeah.
especially on the days that they played, though, those teams was
Mm-hmm.
better than them. Um, but yet and still, he did get his team to play and maximize his potential. That's important going forward, and I think you have to give him credit for that. And I think they've done a good job with this particular group of players. And I don't think it's a lot of, and I know people don't want to hear this. I think it's a lot of NFL talent on that team. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying it to be a Debbie Downer. I think you got some guys that might drink a cup of coffee in the NFL. I don't think they're going to be shining on Sundays. You know what I'm saying? So you're not going to win every matchup when it's like that sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think Florida got 3 or 4 guys on the offensive line, in my opinion. I think
Going
could
to
be
the
second
pros.
round picks. Could
Yeah.
be second round picks and play in the NFL for a little while on the offensive line. We know we think AR might could potentially be. He's a interesting case study, to be honest with you. Um,
Let's talk about that for a second. I mean, I've been very clear on AR. I don't think he's a very good quarterback.
right.
I think he's wildly inaccurate. I think he's inconsistent, and I think mentally the game he's too emotional. You need your quarterback to kind of be emotionless. You know what I mean? He's too emotional for me. The same way I thought James Blackman was too emotional. He got too high with his highs, he got too low with his lows, and it started affecting his play. For me, this is the second week in a row I watched in crucial situations, fourth down, third down, where he's throwing the football away in the or so inaccurate that the pass looks like a throwaway on 3rd and 9. You know what I mean? With the game on the line, fourth and goal with the game
He
on the line.
doesn't look
He
comfortable playing quarterback.
That's what I'm saying. He does like I know what the NFL guys see, and I just don't see it. You know what I mean? And again, I thought he was the reason why they were in the game early. He played, you know what I mean? I thought he played well, but he also missed 13 straight passes.
Right. Yeah, I
I,
mean, when you look
that's
at
a, you know what I mean? He went
yeah,
from high in the first half to the lowest of lows in the second half when everything started going. You need your quarterback to kind of be able to right the ship. You know what I mean? To kind of find an easy completion, take off, make a play, something. And I I don't see it. And he's gonna get drafted by a team in the top, three or whatever it is based on what they're doing.
mhm.
But
I mean, this dude completed 9 passes out of 27 attempts for 198 yards. I mean, that's
that's
that's a
bad.
yeah. I mean, that's you can't
That's Jordan Travis last year.
yeah yeah man. That's really bad. So he's a different guy, and I don't know. Like people keep saying he should go pro. That's fine. But in NFL, you got 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
You got 3 years to figure it out. If you don't figure it out in 3 years, you're not in the NFL anymore. That's how that league works. That's how that works. So
Yeah, they've given up.
he's an interesting case study, man. He's an interesting case study, man. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see about AR. That's a fascinating case study because I don't, it is rumors that Sam Hartman's gonna go to Florida. So that's a rumor. I've heard that from 3 people. How true that is, I have no clue. But but I don't know. I don't know, man. So anyway, let's get on Mike Norvell. Let's get on what we think about.
Can Sam Hartman run that?
Billy schemes those guys open, man. To be
No,
honest with you.
Billy does a great job of
I,
scheming those
I didn't think
guys.
Billy was that good of an offensive guy, to be honest with you. Like I really didn't. I going into the season, I was like,
His passing concepts were really fun to watch on Saturday. I mean
yeah,
on
he put those
Friday.
guys in motion, man. He get those guys open, so I had to give him,
He does a lot of like what they call like
yeah,
he messes with your eyes, man. He puts those linebackers and safeties in
it's
conflict, man. It's
lots of
fun.
them.
It was fun to watch. I ain't gonna lie.
Right.
I mean, on the winning side of things, it really was. As an offensive guy myself, I like to see what Billy had done. He got, I think he earned a little bit of respect from me from his play calling standpoint. I'm still
Yeah.
not sure how good of a overall coach he is. But because again, the just two teams winning that in at halftime. Florida had all the momentum and every opportunity to win that game, and came out and got it really got Florida State took them to the woodshed. Touchdown, 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 touchdown. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it wasn't. Hey, we gonna come to this level. Can y'all meet us at this level? And Florida
Right.
was never able to do it.
Right.
And that's why I say I don't know how good of an overall coach he is.
Well,
But
I think interestingly enough, I actually think Billy's going to be good at Florida.
you
The,
might be the
the,
only one.
well, the only reason I say that is because I do think he's going to consistently recruit at a top 10 to 8 level at Florida. I
Mm-hmm.
think he's going to consistently do that, and I do think he has the temperament to kind of deal with everything surrounding Florida. The only problem he's gonna have, and it's gonna be the problem until Kirby decides to leave Georgia, Florida fans are not used to losing to Georgia. Like they are not used to that, man. And these ass kickings that they are gonna consistently take year in and year out. I mean, winning the Georgia game once every 3 to 4 years, that's gonna be a hard adjustment for some of those Bull Gators because Spurrier reshaped that rivalry in a way that they never lost out games. And
Right, they beat their rivals.
they beat Georgia. I mean, they
Georgia
split with Florida
specifically.
State. They would
Yeah.
split with Florida State every other year. You know what I'm saying? But he's got to find a way to beat Georgia, and that's gonna be because Georgia recruits at the top 3 level. So that's gonna be really hard for him to overcome and do. But other than that, I think he's gonna get them to 10 wins. I mean, consistently, to be honest with you. And I think the country is
Uh,
reshaping. I think the recruiting is reshaping in the country now because USC is finna take off. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
That's gonna change a lot of this Cali quarterbacks in the SEC thing. So I do. So this is about to get. I think college football is about to get fun again because we're gonna see it more regionally, more regional good football teams. I think USC is gonna be good again. I don't think Ohio State and Michigan is going anywhere. I do think Florida State's going to take an uptick up. I don't know how far up Florida State can go. I'm concerned about that as we look at recruiting.
Well, let's
Um,
talk. I was going to say, well, let's talk about that as we transition to the end of the season, right? And before we do that, man, hit the like button if you haven't subscribed yet, man. Hit the subscribe button. I don't know how many people we got in here, but we should have that many likes right now. So if you haven't already hit that like button, man, leave a gold nose in the comment, man. But yeah, as we get to the end of the season and we talk about like you're saying it's a possibility we can take an uptick, and I'm saying I think we could take a huge jump next year.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that on the if Jordan Travis comes back. I think next season can be New Year's 6, possibly in the conversation if uh if Jordan Travis comes back.
Right.
Because one thing I can guarantee, Jordan gonna work his ass off in this offseason. Because we've seen him improve every single season. You know what I mean? Like this season, he took a huge step forward from last season.
Right.
So I'm gonna say season, he'll take another huge step forward.
Right.
I think you got a receiver core, a receiving group that most will be coming back. You got a running back room that is stacked. You got a defensive. The defense, I think, is still going to be, you know what I mean? I don't
Right.
know, but I think offensively, you can have one of the most scary offenses in college football. You got one this year,
Yeah.
and I think next year you can look around and say, offensively, you could have a scary offense. That
Yeah.
offensive line will be not good, will probably be like on the above average, like the really good. You know, potentially has
Hmm.
the ability to be like real good.
Yeah.
I'm not. I think Jordan
So
Travis back, and you say Florida State is a easy top 7 to 8 team to start the season if they win the bowl game, and
this is gonna depend on who
should
come
be in
back
the
though.
mix.
This depends
And
on who
it
comes
should be in
back.
the mix. I think,
Okay.
yeah,
That
but this is
this dep-
all on Jordan Travis coming back. I do
okay.
think you have a huge drop off in the event that you lose your quarterback.
I think. See, this is when you get into this difficult conversation about Florida State football versus expectations,
Mm-hmm.
pass, and realistically, what can the football program be under Mike Norvell, right?
Right.
I think we have a good football coach. I believe that, right? I think we have a good. I think Mike Norvell's a good football coach, right? And
Hundred percent.
I actually never did not believe that, to be honest with you. I just thought that situationally he was growing up on a job and doesn't recruit very well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I do think he's going to recruit better. I just don't ever see him recruiting to win national championships, man. You really have to recruit pretty much at a top five level 2 out of 4 years. You have to basically hit a top five class 2 out of 4 years, right? The playoffs is coming, right? You're gonna have it where it's gonna be an 18 or a 12 team playoffs, right? So
Yep.
under that scope, you should make the playoffs every year, right? Under that preview, like you should be like Florida State should be a top 8 football team every year. They should make the playoffs. If it's a 12 team playoff, you got no reason not to make the 12 team playoffs every year, right?
Period.
So so making the playoffs ain't gonna be this great accomplishment that everybody keeps saying, like, oh, we can make the playoffs. Well, yeah, man, next year, the year after gonna be 12 teams. You damn well better be
yeah.
making the fucking playoffs. Like so
Yeah. Make
um
the playoffs.
the money is starting to separate in the ACC. You can see that the quality of play and the quality of coaching in the ACC is starting to go down because all these good coaches are going to the Big Ten. They're going to the SEC. They're going to So you're not coaching against creme de la creme anymore, right? Um, the players also are being developed at a much higher rate and a high level at these other conferences because they have more resources, right? Facilities, strength and condition, all the other things, right? So
Mm-hmm.
winning the ACC is not going to be a big deal anymore, right? That's going to be like one of those things that you should do on your way to achieving bigger goals, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that puts you back in that range where we was in the 2000s and the 90s, right? Where a bad season was like 10-2. Remember, we would get upset. We like, God damn, we lost to North Carolina. What the hell's going on around here?
Yeah.
We 10-2. Bobby, this
Yeah.
shit's coming off the rails.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to fix this. Yeah.
Right.
What changes
So
need to be made? Yeah. Yeah.
so can he recruit? Can Florida State get to a place where they're going to bring in a top 5 class 2 out of 4 years? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? That's tough to say, right? Can you get to a place where you're going to win the ACC every year. I think you can get to that place because I think it's there for the taking, right?
Absolutely.
Clemson is coming back to you. They're coming
That's
way
it.
back to
I
you,
called
right?
that.
Yeah, they're coming way back to you. So you're gonna be fine. But then you turn
You
around,
currently number 2 in a
but
season where
then
you were
when
picked to be
you
like number 5 or 6.
right,
Yeah.
but then when you look around at the country, and I'm not saying this to be a negative Nancy. I mean, look at South Carolina. Man's in year 2 over there. Beamer's in year 2. That man has beat 2 top 10 teams. South Carolina's not should never be on par with Florida State. Florida State should be a much better football team than South Carolina. I don't know if you line up with South Carolina. I don't know how that game go.
I think we play them in the Gator Bowl, if I'm not mistaken.
And they're out recruiting you right now, right? You can't have that, right? You got to start out recruiting these middle of the road SEC teams. You can't let Tennessee, South Carolina, these people out recruit you, right? So it's a fascinating thing when you think about it. But FSU now is on solid footing, and we said before the season that this was an important season because FSU needed to plant their flag that it wasn't going anywhere, right?
Yep.
We wasn't gonna turn into Miami. We wasn't gonna turn into some of these
And I said, and we didn't think it was
Nebraska.
possible. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we
It's
said
not
we didn't think
possible
that
for
was
Florida State to
possible,
turn
but
it
we needed to have a
with a
season that
competent
told
coach.
everybody. Yeah, but we
Yep.
needed to have a season to tell everybody, hey, we're not gonna turn into those teams, okay?
Right, right.
Mike Norvell's done that. That's important, right?
Very
That's
important.
important to recruit good coaches to Florida State. That's important to get boosted donations up at Florida State. That's important for fandom, right? Florida State can compete on a national level, but now he has to prove that. That's a different level of coaching. That's a different level of recruiting. That's a different level of development. When you talk about winning national championships, winning the ACC is fine. I think they can win the ACC. I think Mike Norvell can win the ACC in 2 years, right? Can you get to that level where we're saying, okay, we expect to come into a season and go 11-1, 12-0. I don't think I gotta see that from FSU, the infrastructure, and I gotta see it from Mike Norvell and the staff. That's tough to gauge. It's really tough to
I don't,
gauge.
but I don't think they were that far from doing that this season. So that's why.
So Brandon, we get into that conversation, then I start naming these teams on you, be like,
I'm just no. Again, I'm not saying they should. I'm saying they're not far. They weren't far off from it. I'm not saying they should from winning the ACC being 11-1. They really are one bad loss in the NC State, in my opinion, from having 10 wins in the season with a possible 11. You know what I mean? So I don't think they're that far off from getting to the place that you're thinking they're headed to or where they can be. I do think as a team, Florida State, as a school and a program, Florida State should never be outside of the top 20. I think that should be an automatic every time they come into a season. We finishing in the top 20. That's just a given. It's
right,
just a matter of where. I agree with you. If there's 12 teams making the playoffs, there's no reason why FSU shouldn't be one of those 12 teams.
right,
12 teams is a lot of teams.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And so then I look at it and I look at your recruiting point and I say the transfer portal is a real tool. And I think Mike, as opposed to a lot of people, have chose to embrace that tool as opposed to looking at it and saying,
let me say this
all right,
though.
I'm great. Like I think we looked at it as, all right, here's this land of misfit toys. And we're gonna pull from this bargain bin of players.
Right.
And I think Mike has said, nah, some of these are misfit toys. But some of these, if I do my research, I can find a Trey Benson.
Right.
Yeah, nobody else may have wanted Trey Benson because Trey Benson had injury problems. I don't know if he's gonna be able to make it back. Mike was able. I don't know if Mike called the doctors, if he called his mama. I don't know how he figured it out, but he realized when Trey Benson get healthy, Trey Benson's gonna be the truth.
Right.
And that's what Mike realized. And when nobody else was willing to take that flyer, he did. And now Trey Benson is your best running back on your team. I think you look at Johnny Wilson, same thing. He got a case of the drops, but he can be an asset to us. So let's go out here and develop verse at a smaller school. We need somebody to replace that productivity of Jermaine Johnson.
Right.
Jared Verse ended up coming in, and you didn't have that big of a drop off. I believe Mike has figured out a way, or has a group of people on staff, or whoever's doing it, whoever's in charge of looking at the portal and saying, these are the real, these are the fake. I believe somebody in there is looking at that and saying, all right, we're not going to recruit at that top 5 level. But if I can get a top 12 recruiting class and fill it in with 3 guys who are going to make an impact, or 4 impact guys, I'm kind of recruiting at a top 5 level.
I think, but the problem is this here, man. Alabama's grabbing players out of portal too and recruiting at the top 2 level, top 3 level. Georgia's doing it. Okay,
100%.
all these other teams are still recruiting at the top level and still going into the portal supplementing their roster, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing it too, but they're doing it with a higher level of high school recruiting. Now, if you're saying winning the ACC, you can do this. You can do this, and I think you can win the ACC doing it. I wholeheartedly believe that. Wholeheartedly believe.
I'm not.
But
Listen,
if
I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing that Georgia's doing it better because they can grab a quarterback here from a transfer. You know what I mean? Again, Florida grabbed Sam Hartman with the class that they already put together. It does yield a different return. I'm saying if you are part of the 12, right? If you saying this will get us to the 12, I can look around and say, on any given year, if Georgia's not Georgia in the way they've been doing, they just kind of skating by for whatever reason.
Ooh.
If Alabama is not Alabama, but they, again, they're like this team. They're like the team that's this season. Loaded with talent, but, may not have been able to put it all together. I'm not going to look at and say we can't beat those teams if we're in the top 12, recruiting at a decent level, get the quarterback. I think, in other words, Mike's going to have to figure out a new way of doing it because I don't think he's ever going to get to the place of being a top 5. So we can't just say all is lost unless you're saying we got to just find another coach who can get us in the top 5.
Well. First of all, we got to start the conversation by finding a new coach. I think you got the coach.
I don't mean head coach. I mean like new coaches who can recruit that level.
I think you got the coach that can consistently win 10 games. I think Mike Norvell can consistently win 10 games here. So the idea of saying, is he the guy? Now we got to define our terms on being the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we hate Jimbo Fisher. I get it, but I'm finna use him as an example because he's the closest example that we have. Right. The class that Jimbo Fisher was bringing in had us thinking this year we can win a national championship. We wasn't thinking about winning the ACC. The ACC, that was just a part of what we was going to do on our way to win a national championship. That's the way that was our thought process, right? Can FSU infrastructure support Mike Norvell enough where he can do that? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I don't know the answer to that. You know what I'm saying? That's a wait and see thing that we gotta kind of see. We gotta gauge that, right? You can't just go get Ohio State didn't go get 1 5-star wide receiver. They went and got 4. You see what I'm saying? It's a big difference.
Very big difference.
You know what I'm saying? They don't get just 1 5-star offensive lineman. They grab 2 to 3 a year. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm just saying that the level, the elevation of recruiting that you got to do to win national championships, that's different. Now, if we're saying, hey, man, we'll take our 10 games, we'll win the ACC, that's a good job, that's a great season, we'll move on. That's fine. We just got to define our terms on what we want and what our expectations are.
Let me ask you, you already know this fan base. This fan base is not going to take this and say, hey, we're going to applaud, we're going to appreciate this season because we've had a lot of bad ones.
Right.
But next season, they're going to be looking for us to take that step.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe Florida State takes that step?
Next year?
Next year.
Well, like I said, man, we got to wait till after the bowl game. We got to wait to see who leaves, who comes. We got to see who leaves. I got to see who leaves first, and that'll give me a better idea. I want to get the questions, though, because I think we have 48, so we got 10 more minutes to get some of these questions. Because I found one of these statements interesting. It said Michigan is ranked number 20 in the 23 recruiting class in the playoffs for the second straight year. Michigan in 2020 was ranked number 10 in recruiting, 24 recruits. All right. Michigan in 21 was ranked number 13 in the country in recruiting. Okay. So Michigan in 22, number 9 in recruiting. I'm telling y'all, it's no other way around this. You have to high school recruit. All these teams that are in the conversation, high school recruits at a different level. They're not recruiting the right team.
You need Baxter.
They're not doing it.
You need a Baxter, right? Like those guys are difference makers on your portal. You're not gonna find a Baxter in the portal. You know what I mean? Like very rarely do you find one of those type of guys in the portal. That's really what we talking about, right?
Let me say this right here. Jameer Gibbs went to Georgia Tech. Jameer Gibbs was a good running back at Georgia Tech. Bama grabbed Jameer Gibbs out of Georgia Tech, kind of Bama. I'm not saying Jameer Gibbs not good, but guess what? He's not the quality of running back that Bama is used to. He hasn't been great this year. He's been okay. He hasn't been
Right.
great. He hasn't been what Bama has normally gotten out of their running backs. He hasn't been Brian Robinson good.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying Jameer Gibbs not good. I'm
Right.
not saying he's not an
He
NFL player.
supplemented the piece. Yeah.
He
He
supplemented the
supplemented.
piece,
Yeah.
but that piece wasn't developed and groomed by Bama. Not yet. He might need to come back next year and be that guy. But what I'm saying is, you do have to high school recruit at least a top 10 level, at least a top 10 level, right? So that's all. That's all I'm saying. You can't have North Carolina out recruiting you. You can't have South Carolina out recruiting. You can't have Kentucky out recruiting. You can't have that. You got to get to that top 10, top 11, top 12 level consistently. If you want to win national championships, I'm sorry. If you want to win national championships,
Michigan is going. I think that Michigan example by Tim is a very good example, because when you look at the recruiting classes that you gave,
right,
all top recruits. They're better than where we are, but they're not.
Let me say it right. You said, okay, Sam, but 23, they're not in the top 10. They're not in the top 10 yet. Recruiting isn't done. Michigan isn't done. Michigan just beat Ohio State. You don't think they're going to flip some players? You don't think they're going to be in the top 12 by the time it's all said and done? And that's if Harbaugh want to be there. He might decide to take this shit to the NFL next year. But I guarantee you it is. They're going to recruit well at Michigan. They're going to put players in the draft. They just had a guy to go top 5 in the draft last year. Just saying. Just saying.
Clemson never recruited at a high level either, even though they've had some really high classes.
Right.
Clemson doesn't consistently recruit at a high level, though.
I want to say this too, because somebody said, is it top 10 or top 5? I said to win national championships. To win national championships, you got to be top 5. We saw Michigan get the doors blew off of them last year in the playoffs. We saw that.
You know Now that's where I
exactly
1,000% agree with you, right? Unless you're talking about, again, I think.
Is it about winning national championships? Is it about winning that? The Feds got to define the term. Is it about winning national championships? Is it about winning the ACC? What is it about for you? What do you think the potential of FSU football program can be? Now, I know what I think it is, but what are you okay with? If you're okay with them saying, let's go 9-3 every year, let's go 10-2 every year, let's win the ACC, let's have a playoff berth. If that's the
at some point, Florida State fans gonna want them to take. Well,
I mean, it's okay. It's okay if that's what you want. If that's what you want, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, in general, when you start having these conversations about the type of job that Mike Norvell's doing, I think he's doing a good job. I can't say that enough. I don't know what else to tell people. I think he's doing a good job. But I'm saying, once you start talking about winning national championships, that what you do in the high school recruiting matters. It can't just be 10 to 12 guys out of port every year. You do have to get to a certain level where you plateau in the top 10, top 9 class in recruiting. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to get there. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know the answer to those questions.
You absolutely have to get there. That's not for debate. My only argument is, I think if you can put it together in the right way with the right quarterback in the right situation, I do think you can look around and find yourself in a championship and possibly even winning a championship,
right?
With him recruiting at the level he's at and filling in some pieces. I cannot look 100% next year and I say, if Jordan comes back next year, you get some of those defensive players to return back. Fabian looks at it and says, I ain't had a year I wanted to have. I was hurt. He gets a poor draft grade, and now he decides he's coming back.
Right.
If like, who knows who else decide? Maybe they all get together and be like, yo, we not done here. You know what I mean? And you add in, you add in the Hakeem Williams, you add in, and you some Baxter from Texas. And now you got Jordan Travis. You've added Baxter from Texas, who is now added to a stable of already dope running backs. You now have a receiving group that's great and an offensive line that's veteran. I cannot look and say 100% that Florida State will not be able to win the championship next year, because it's a very good possibility that Florida State is going to be able to roll up 45 to 50 points a game every game next year, regardless of the opponent. You know what I mean? Because we have improved to that level.
I kind of don't believe that, actually. That's a little hyperbole by you.
No. I'm not saying they will. It's a lot of hyperbole. It's a whole lot of ifs. I'm saying I'm not going to look around and say they have no chance.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm going to look around and say I don't think I'm going to look and say they have no chance.
Right.
But I'm also going to look and say, all right, we started a new quarterback this season. We got, you know what I mean? So now we got to decide whether Tate playing, new dude coming, or AJ Duffy. I'm gonna say next season's gonna probably be a little rough,
If you
and that's what I
if
mean.
if Mike doesn't come, if Jordan doesn't come back,
If
but
Jordan doesn't come back, and that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of things rely or I'm saying if you can do that next year, why can't I believe in 3 4 years? Maybe AJ
right,
Duffy has improved to something. Maybe
right,
Brock Glenn has improved to something. You know what I mean? It's
right,
really who he, you know what I mean? It's really him. So now I believe at that point you can have a top 10, top 15 recruiting class,
right,
supplement some of these pieces,
yeah.
and just have put together the right team to possibly win a championship.
Yeah, I want to get something Kobe No put out there. I'm putting out, but yeah, I think Timmy. I think that's more the point. I think Mike has passed the litmus test of saying, can he build us a consistent winner? I don't think we ever fall back down below 7 wins again with Mike Norvell here, right? So I think he will consistently have us a winner here. So I think we're past that stage, right? We're past the fire Mike Norvell, get us somebody
Mm-hmm.
here that can win stage. Where we got a good football coach. We got a good football
Right.
coach.
I
Yeah,
like I'm looking at the stuff in the comments, and that's kind of what I'm saying, right? With if Jordan Travis comes back next year, it's a very strong possibility Florida State can win the championship while recruiting in the way they have.
winning what
If Mike is
championship?
able to a championship next year, again, I'm not.
ACC championship?
Let me be no a again. I am not saying. Let me be very clear, because I know how this is going to spin later. I am not
I'm
saying
cutting this
Florida
clip.
State will win a championship.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying Florida State will win a championship. I'm not saying it's likely that Florida State will win a championship. I am saying it is not out of the realm of possibility that if Jordan Travis comes back with all that he may or potentially have around him,
Mm-hmm.
with Mike figuring out some of these pieces and a couple big time recruits, it is a possibility that they can be in the playoffs, and that leaves you with the possibility of being able to win the championship.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Not saying it's likely, not saying they will, not saying they don't have holes or problems. I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying if Jordan Travis comes back, I do think the future could possibly be very bright for Florida State next season. That is not me saying that Florida State will. Let me be very clear.
Interesting. That's a word. You good with those word sandwiches? You put them together. I got some lettuce, got a little cheese on the back end, got a little bacon out there too, pastrami.
I want to be very clear on where I stand, because see, it'll end up on the timeline. Brandon predicted them to win the national championship next year. What you say? You know what I mean?
That's what.
I'm
That's how I'm gonna have the title for the clip
Yeah, right. See, and then I'm
because
gonna end
that's
up
what I
having to
do.
defend myself.
Because that's
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
do.
yeah. And I'm gonna end up having to defend myself about me saying we could beat Bama. But I mean, I said it's not out of the realm of possibility
Yeah,
that we could beat them.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, man, man, this is crazy. We hit 130 people in this live. That's insane. Um, wish we could have got more podcasts out to y'all this year, but life been life, and I actually went to a few more games this year than I normally go to. Brandon got a little one on the way.
Yeah.
I'm storming the field with my girl, and life has been great. Shouts out to Norvell. Good
Hey
football
man.
season.
Hey, let me and a part of storming the field etiquette, because I know if we're gonna make this a thing every year, hey man, do not pass your girl to some other dude to catch her at.
Oh, dude, that was the weirdest part. This
Like
dude was like, "Yo, catch my
Sam,
girl." I'm like,
when
"Bro, I'm not
Sam
catching your
told me that
girl."
somebody told him to catch his girl, I was like, see, we don't have enough practice at good at. So we got to learn. We got to have to come up with a set of guidelines and ground rules for what to do and what not to do on when storming the field. And number one on that list, the very first rule: do not pass your chick for me to catch. I don't care how big or how small she is. Do
yeah,
not pass your chick for me to catch. I'm not catching your chick. And if I catch your chick, then she is no longer your chick. I'm just telling you that's how it goes. Those are the rules. If
yeah,
some other
yeah.
dude catches your chick at the bottom, she's no longer your chick. That's just the rules. You got to find a new chick.
Oh, that was
Rule
so
number one.
funny. I'm like, "What is
Well,
wrong with
Sam
you,
said he
man?"
told me to catch his chick. I'm like, catch my. I wish I would tell some other dude to catch my chick.
Okay, last
Man,
question.
crazy.
I want to get this last question. Cameron hinting at least 1 to 2 coaching changes. Hasn't suggested any firing, so maybe a couple dip out. Got to take advantage. Place 1 or 2 recruiting dogs. I'm gonna tell you something I did here. Well, we all know Woodson's probably gonna be gone. All right, it's not, I don't think that's even. I don't even think that's a big I don't think that's a big secret.
Appreciate
Winston
your
probably,
time here. Let me go.
yeah, yeah. Winston
Yeah,
probably be gone.
you gotta
That
go.
room was a mess. Hasn't got better. Not very good. Okay, Winston's been terrible. All right. I keep hearing. I've heard two coaches, but then I've heard three, and then I heard possible of four, with a lot of behind the scene guys leaving too. So
I'm
I've
with
heard
it.
the potential of four coaches leaving and some behind the scene guys leaving. Um, I
I'm
think
gonna
it's
be
gonna.
honest.
I
Outside
think
of
it's gonna
Mike and
be.
Atkins, I don't care if y'all switch up all of it.
Yeah, well, I think it's gonna be a very interesting off season. I will say that. And I also think a couple, some people leaving actually wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, to be honest with you. So, you know,
No, I do. I don't either. I think if you could keep some of the continuity, so that we're not teaching a bunch of new concepts, you know what I mean? I'm assuming Adam Fuller is not going. Even though I know Cubby still maybe rumor to FAU. If so, appreciate that. FAU. Um, but I would think they should be tired of grabbing some Florida State coaches, but whatever. Uh, but no, I would say keep the maybe, and I hate it. I would say keep Adam Fuller, keep
mm.
Mike, of course, keep Alex Atkins, of course, and everybody else
I did
maybe
hear.
reevaluate,
So
maybe
I,
kick some ties,
so
reevaluate,
I'll
see
put
where you can
this.
upgrade at the position.
I'll put this out on the pod. I did hear that there is some pressure towards Mike to make changes on the staff. I did hear that Mike's kind of somewhat resistant to some of those names that they won't change on the staff. It's a little bit of a tug of war with that whole who's coming, who's leaving thing. Like I said, it's gonna be a very interesting off season, man. I don't want to get too
Mike
much
got
into
all
the.
Mike got all the leverage right now. It's hard to argue. It's hard to argue
Right,
that
right.
somebody
That's
need to go coming
right.
off of your first 10 win. You know what I mean? Coming
Yeah,
off your first nine
but
win,
you,
which is
but you,
possibly a 10-win season.
right. And I agree with that. But I do think it's
Good
tough,
teams
man.
upgrade when they're good.
It's tough because I do think you have to have somebody that's looking at these trees outside of the forest and can say, "Hey, man, I
Mm-hmm.
think you need to." So how that goes, I have no clue. But I did hear it is some pressure on him to make some changes, and he's kind of resistant to that ideal of changing certain coaches. But that's neither here nor there. We'll see how they go in the off season, man. Like I said, it's gonna be fascinating. I can't wait to watch, see what happens.
Maybe
Off
the
season,
furniture decides he's gonna go into the storage. You know what I mean? He
all
gonna
right, man. I ain't getting into
we're gonna
that.
put
Done
up
with
the
that.
furniture, man. Maybe
Uh,
maybe that's where you know what I mean. One of the places we'll head.
we'll see. But shout out to FSU.
Oh, somebody asked for a bowl projection. I think I saw Florida State, South Carolina, Gator Bowl. I think that's
It'd be a pretty good game.
yeah. I actually think that'll be a very good game. I want to see that, and I'm 99.9% sure I'll be there for that one.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah.
yeah,
That was the
yeah.
one I saw. I saw some others. I think it's pretty much the Gator Bowl though, because I think they picked second. And with Clemson you losing yesterday, they go to the Orange. So that means I believe we yeah, I think we would end up in the Gator Bowl. Not sure who the opponent would be.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a great pod, great season. Norvell killed it this year. The wide receiver was Dugas made up for a lot of bad seasons by him. Great, great, great overall season by the FSU Seminoles. Miami suck it. Florida, you suck. State
Good luck
champs.
with AR.
Yo.